grand finals is going to go, but that's where I placed my chips. On the other side, though, I mean, Use and Power were able to get through Fiend pretty easily.
Yeah, I would say
honestly.
the first game was not easy, but everything after that was kind of a lot more of a smooth sailing ahead. The big question I had going into that last series was, okay, what is Use going to bring out here for the Finn pick? You have low defense, high attack. You're going up against, Kaya, who is a living tank right now, and a literal tank of Nai. If you can beat both of them at the same exact time, is there really any options that can go up against you easily?
I mean, granted, like, I was wondering, like, oh, man, what are they going to do for these cannons that they have to go up against, right? Because regardless if it's this set or the next one, cannon is going to be something that you're going to have to play against. But Use showing absolutely no issue dealing with that. That Axe being a very good option to deal with that and finding an early KO with that neutral signature. But, I mean, immediately after, you see both members of Team Blue end up dropping their stocks, and Wess and SAC are looking to go ahead and keep this lead alive.
Yeah, Wess remaining on board here. Use was having this stock for a long time. Same prowess as we had seen in the quarterfinals, where we would see Power take the most of the damage and then Use would be there for the reliable follow-up. This time around, though, a lot more up-close weapons, especially those battle boots from Wess. Gonna put a wrench in things, but as I say that, though, good combo starter, ending with the Sair, allowing Wess now to go down to that second stock. A near reset of things. SAC is the only outlier besides Use who are down to orange and red on the second.
Yeah, this is looking to be pretty close game one, honestly, but it's going to set the tone of the set from here on out. So they're trying their hardest to get that first dubski. And we're seeing Wess goes for a D-Light into a side signature, ends up running right into another neutral signature from Use. Use has had pretty solid accuracy with that signature today, and SAC really hasn't been able to get too much going thus far. Tries to pass it over. Wess unable to really get it, but I mean, look at this, right? I mean, final stock for Wess, but you hit Use one more time, he's going to be down the final stock. Power should be soon behind. SAC also should be trailing soon behind as well.
What is this? The double nairs coming out for Power and Use just made things a gigantic cycle on the ledge. And SAC couldn't really do anything about it. He had to force to respect the ledge play and let them go back onto the ground, and ultimately led for him to get punished down to that final stock. But Power and Use, at first, Wess and SAC were looking great. Now we've seen the tides turn a lot more. Of course, as I say that, though, the Tezca getting the double KO, it's allowing things once again to be a reset. Things are so even going into this first game.
Yeah, who's going to get that inch and transform it into a mile? I mean, Use getting so many unanswered hits here. You don't love to see that if you're on the receiving end of some Jala punishment, but it looks like Wess tries to return some of that favor, and I won't say completely succeeds, but does give a little bit of it back.
Good side air.
Oh, SAC. Chase dodges up and then gets hit by the backswing of the recovery, and immediately after, Wess is going to fall as well, and it's going to be Use and Power taking that game one.
Yeah, it was a really good attempt, too, from SAC to go for the side air there, try to eliminate Power. The problem is, though, that there wasn't really much more horizontal velocity that could come out, and so SAC was like, okay, well, I have to play for safety and move my way backwards, and we can see that in the replay there, that he tried to play it safe. Power goes for the recovery a little bit earlier than expected, and that's what ultimately led the SAC lose his final stock. Going into game number 2, though, no real changes across the board. It was a pretty close game, beat for beat, up until the very end of things. I don't expect to see any major changes, at least for this game and maybe the next.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. I feel like from this point forward, people have their legends. They're just going to be the ones that we see for the rest of the tournament, it feels. We'll see if that does end up changing, as Wess is still trying the chef with this Tezca, but not quite able to find the signature there. Use doing a great job of maintaining enough stage control to always have space to backdash and space around that side light if he wants to. But even with that said, I mean, how much can they push? The blue team is already amassing a bit of a lead here. Use is feeling even more and more comfortable throwing out those side sigs, a down sig now, just pressing the signature button in general. And if you have a Jala that feels comfortable throwing out signatures, that's not a place you want to be if you're the red team. You have to shut that down. You need to make her feel scared.
Oh, no way.
No punish from Wess.
SAC is so good about holding down Power, making sure, okay, you cannot be activated. You're not going anywhere outside of the range of my cannon. You're going to get blasted away. Oh, Wess
man.
tried to find the recovery on the battle boots, but instead was met elsewhere by Hughes. And now look at SAC. SAC was doing so good about just holding power away from all the rest of this battle. And suddenly, again, tides have turned.
Nice.
Good gravity cancel side light into the recovery, but Hughes, lowest defense in the lobby, still good the whole... Never mind.
That's how it be.
Why
That's how it
bother?
be. It's tough. The curse is, it's written in the scriptures of old. There's no way to avoid it. There is no way to avoid it. But despite that, we must remain ever vigilant as we watch these teams duke it out on the Fortress of Lions here. I mean, Power and Hughes, they do have that game advantage here. So even if they do end up dropping this game, they're still pretty poised to be in a position to make the adjustments to go ahead and take the entirety of the set. Meanwhile, Wess and SAC, they got some work to do.
Oh, good weapon throw from Hughes. Wess had no options other than just go back to the blast zone. They put SAC in a very precarious spot, though. This cannon hasn't really found a lot in the mid game here. Mostly just for ledge guard plays, but kind of just in the grounded neutral. It's more so just like, okay, let's find a down air. Maybe just find a D-light in general. It's really just waiting for the gauntlets to come back.
Yeah, it seems pretty tough because SAC, I feel like in the other sets that we were able to watch, was able to get much larger conversions with that cannon. And there's been a couple moments where he's maybe gotten a 3-hit string, but they're pretty rare and far and few between. And so with that said, I mean, we're kind of feeling that pain here. SAC has an opportunity to go for an edge guard. He's unarmed, and I like the assist from Wess there, recognizing, my partner could potentially be in trouble. Let me go break that up. That weapon toss is going to be enough. It's going to be another KO off the top as well. And so now we have singular stocks across the board for all members.
Oh, it's tough. SAC playing much more aggressive than Power. Power's playing almost exclusively for punish. But he's not able to find much. SAC is setting up, waiting for Power to go to the pivot on the other side of him and then start to begin these side airs. Offstage, though. Wess struggling to get back onto that ledge. It was almost a pummel downwards by the hands of that the axe. But no, not yet. Stage-wide double axe combo coming out from Power and Hughes. Will that be enough? No, the punish again from SAC brings out the Nair. Good recovery, though, from Power. Not a little recovery, but a good way of just saving the game. And now Hughes has to be very careful here. Deep, deep red.
Oh. And that was a close one. The down sig wasn't enough there. We're coming down to final moments for Hughes and Wess, respectively. SAC not too far behind, though. Silent recovery, not enough juice. Can't hit high enough off the top. But that side air will be enough from Wess to take out Hughes. Another side air, not going to be a KO. Tries to get the weapon throw to force the dodge, but it's not lined up quite properly. That weapon throw is not going to work as well. But Wess gets the neutral light. It's not going to have enough juice. One more opportunity here. Power could make the comeback, but it's not happening. And SAC and Wess are able to take game number 2. This will be a pretty close set. Might even go to game 5.
Yeah, I don't see a reality where it doesn't go to a game 5. I think we're just going to keep seeing the same legends come through, same gameplay, and again, just being able to position yourself better throughout the entirety of the rest of the set. But we got the confirmation. Same exact legends going through here. I'm curious to see, though, because the Onyx pick, well, I guess we are swapping stages. We're going to Apocalypse, but we haven't really been able to see a lot of SAC's cannon brought out this set just yet. It's been mostly just the Gauntlet show, and when we do see cannon, it's more so against like the 1-2 and then maybe a Nair coming underway. But I want to see more of this cannon now that we're on a slightly wider stage. I think this will activate it a little bit more, but for the most part, it's been mostly just the waiting game for the Gauntlets to spawn.
Yeah, no, I agree. And even Wess, I feel like, has been doing a great job on these boots, on the Gauntlets as well. But if Wess manages to get one early KO, looks like the early KO is actually going to be on Wess and SAC at the save. Yes, with the neutral air, and there's no punch there from Hughes because he's unarmed. He can't threaten over there without a weapon, and he still doesn't have a weapon. He's trying to get one, still gets snatched from him. When is Hughes going to find a weapon?
The $1 million question. There it is. Wess tried the weapon starve as much as possible, but through the soft platform, User's able to pick it up, bring out the down sig, and punish that long-waited weapon edge guard. Oh, the weapon starvation. There we go. Use forced to go for the early recovery underneath the stage. Does make it back forwards, but the amount of respect given, positioning given too for the down sig, removes SAC away.
Okay, we have ourselves a match here. Granted, Power and Hughes trailing ahead pretty well here, but use one hit away. You can see Wess looking for that side air, that D-light, that recovery, anything to get used off this stage, but instead saying, all right, fine, you don't want to play, I'm going to go 2v1 power. Can we get something started here? Still can't find it. Instead, get some friendly fire, which gives the blue team an opportunity to get more hits, but finally, Wess charges his way in, gets the D-light side air. It's not enough to KO you, surprisingly. There's just not enough force on that boots air.
Good side air coming out from Hughes, tries to go for the side sig, punished heavily by the cannon. Power is still holding through with this first stock. It's nerve-wracking because we see a big opposite difference now between Hughes and Power. He's the one taking the majority of the damage while Power is playing much more safe. Oof. But you don't need to. Great GCD light into the ground pound coming out from Power. It's the final stock now for both the red team. They look so good, but this weapon stage diff is really harming red team.
Yeah, no, the red team, they're looking pretty miserable right now. I mean, Power still has all 3 stocks. I'm sure it's going to change somewhat soon, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because having 3 stocks at this point, this late in the game, means that like the damage has already been done. It's a hard comeback to make. Power finally drops it, but at this point, like a little too late. I mean, we see Hughes getting pummeled on a little bit here, and honestly, a great moment to try and go ahead and get this edge guard. Couldn't close it out, but another ground pound does find the mark, and honestly, the red team really needed that because now they can collapse onto Hughes. They have a decent amount of damage onto Power, and that makes this game reclaimable. They can fight their way back into this, but they have to put in the work.
So there's like 2 different schools of thoughts here. Do you want to focus Power and bring it to a 1 stock across the board, or do you just want to focus Hughes and try to bring this to a 2v1? There's no real clear-cut answer here because the damage for Wess and SAC is already so low. Double axe for both members of blue team. It's up to the pummel now. Whatever can be started here in terms of combos, followed up by SAC there. Almost had Power in a grasp. Recovery comes through. Another one of those from Power, and that could very well spell the end of this game. Oh, it's Signature City. Population 4. The attempted start for the down air from SAC leads into the neutral sig. SAC is gone. It's up to Wess. Offstage, battle boots in hand.
Oh, and you can see Wess trying to cook a little bit here, trying to find an opening, wants to make this 2v1 happen, has a lot of work to do on Hughes, though, to make that even in the realm of possibility. Probably going to get caught on the way down here, almost gets passed into that side of the weapon throw, should close this one out, and it's going to be Power and Hughes taking yet another game and putting themselves up in the set 2-1.
What a nightmare 2v1 to be in there. Double axe off stage with battle boots. There's realistically nothing you can really do in that situation. But honestly, again, just small little plays that we get to see in the replay at times saved the day when it came to Power and Hughes. And a lot of that came down to when it looked like SAC had that gauntlet ground pound. Hughes was able to pivot out of the way just in time. There was then SAC that was able to confirm it. It's situations like that that has a ripple effect where had Hughes survived longer, that could have been a more dominant game.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see how Hughes specifically is going to do on any given day because he's someone that has won multiple tournaments at this point. Even a LAN, right? You know, has some good gold medals under his belt when it comes to the 2v2 landscape and even the 1v1 landscape sometimes, honestly. Like, you never really know. He could get first, he could get like 7th. And granted, he's been having much more peaks as of late, but it is nice to see him get this far in bracket with his partner. I'm just wondering how far they can push it. Is this going to be just like Hughes decided to win 2s, you know, despite not doing a great performance in 1s? It might just be. We're going to find out in just a moment here as SAC has lost his first stock already. Wess still has 3, and so does everyone else. But will the red team be able to pull themselves into a 2-2, or do Hughes and Power just pack it up?
I was about to mention before we saw pretty much everybody lose their stocks there is that Hughes is much more active in this set that we've seen in other ones with the Jala pick, where before it was, again, Power taking the majority of the damage and then Hughes would be there for the follow-up. Now it feels like it's an even divide between the two. It's much more of a partnership than like, okay, I'm the decoy. But it's working much more beneficially, I would say, for Hughes here, too. He's finding a lot more of these punishes, a lot more pivots. Wess struggling to find a weapon up until now to pick it up.
Nice.
Battle boots out, though. Keeping Power on the ledge. Wess there for the ledge guard, but Power jumps over and grabs the axe back. This is where I get nervous, Flan, because this is double axe, And no matter what the situation is, this is usually the safety option for blue team.
Yeah, they seem to have a really comfortable time being on that double axe, and part of that is just a tribute to the fact that it's been meta so many times. Every team knows how to play it. They know exactly what they need to do, how to space with these weapons in hand. Now, granted, now Power has that Rocket Lance instead, but this match is still incredibly close, right? 2 stocks across the board. That Cider from Brawlhalla is going to hit a lot harder than the Cider from anyone else, and it's going to lead to the stock being taken right there. But SAC still hanging on to that second stock. Psych.
The script hits us once again.
What can you do?
Yeah, I don't know. We have to hire more editors.
With that said, though, I mean, this is looking to be a pretty interesting Wess, as Power and Use are looking like they might be able to make the 3-1 happen, but as I say that, Power loses his stock and Use loses his immediately after as well. So the moment I say that, the dream of the Game 5 becomes alive immediately.
Yeah, and you know, going off of that, for Wess and SAC, this is their tournament stock.
Oof.
They have to make sure they can keep it up, and Wess has struggled on this ledge the entirety of this game. The double axes are out again. At this point, it's like a gigantic game of ping pong. Use in Power, swing off each other, gravity cancel, D-Sig removes Wess away. And SAC has to make the dream happen to bring it to Game 5.
And it's looking pretty tough already. Quite a bit of damage. A Cider from Brawlhalla is definitely going to knock you out. Or a neutral Sig. Lucky that he bounces off the stage to the weapon throw, forces him low. Maybe a ground pound and end light into the stage. And he won't be able to dodge back. The ground pound to close it out. And it's going to be Power and Use securing themselves a spot in the grand finals. Securing it over SAC and Wess 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, again, we were looking at very different play styles going into the final, semifinals and forwards, the final tail end of 2v2s, where we had a lot of doubts.